Well, we appreciate Ron Pfeiffer and Joel Hoffman coming to judge for us tonight. They were hand selected from last year's judges to do this very special night for us. So I appreciate them participating. I'm going to read Ron's bio, but unfortunately, Joel, I never received yours. So
I sent it to Sean yesterday.
I know you said you would send it to me today after work, but you did.
Oh, I passed it on. Oh, I said I would do it, or he said.
I sent you a message. Didn't you say today when you got back to your computer you would send it to me?
I said if you didn't have it. Anyway, that's all right.
Anyway, I just asked Sean.
I can tell you quickly. I can tell you.
I have Ron's. You have.
Yeah, we don't have yours, Joel. But okay, I'll let you.
No problem.
First, let me read Ron's, and then I'll let you shoot yourself. Okay, Ron Pfeiffer is a Baltimore area-based photographer who has had his hands on one kind of a camera or another from childhood on. When the family box camera was his primary tool through family snapshots to science projects. His career in education and state government and family travel gave him many opportunities to expand his skills and subjects on into retirement. Currently, he's active with the board of the Maryland Photography Alliance, where he serves on several statewide committees and has been certified as a photography judge, which is good for us. He is contest vice president with the Severna Park, Maryland-based Arundel Camera Club, where he has been honored with several Photographer of the Year awards. His work has been displayed at numerous gallery displays, including recent venues such as BWI Airport and the Maryland House of Delegates. He feels that the key to good photography is to practice your observation skills at all times, working constantly to make sure you always truly see. You need to observe obsessively and look for the unique and even the ordinary. It is not about megapixels. It's about seeing. A very nice quote. Thank you, Ron. Okay, and Joel, I'll let you give your own introduction there.
Okay, I think you guys maybe remember me from last year. I gave some young lady about 5 awards, and nobody else got awards, so I don't know. But anyway, I am a practicing lawyer in Maryland. I'm also a full-time photographer at the same time. I'm doing weddings, bar mitzvahs, baptisms, corporate events. In recent years, I'll make this really short, but in recent years, I photographed the famous 16th Street from the White House to the Maryland line, 6.5 miles, photographed every building, every structure on it. And then we donated, my partner and I donated about 1,500 images to the DC History Society. In addition to that, in recent projects, I'm photographing all the courthouses in Montgomery, in the state of Maryland. I'm photographing all the fire stations in the District of Columbia, and I'm still doing weddings and bar mitzvahs. So I'm pretty busy with that and practicing law, and I think that's probably as much as you need to know about me. Ron and I are on the same page. We actually we're pretty careful, pretty happy that we were able to go through your images together in a relatively short time. We thought this would be a real problem, but we were pretty much on the same page all the way through, so that worked out well.
Great. Thank you. Okay, Sean?
All right. Yeah. As everybody knows, this is our Digital Image of the Year competition for assigned topics for the year. Those who are new to the group, we take 2 entries from, everybody submits 2 entries from images that they submitted during the year. And in that, you don't necessarily have to have one, just have to be submitted to one of our monthly competitions. So without further delay, let me share my screen. Yeah. Hey, everybody see that?
Yep.
All right, good.
Sean, before we get started, can you just give Ron and I a heads up as to what you want us to do here?
Yes, we're gonna show all the images that were submitted to you, and we ask that you guys do a little critique on each one, and we'll start with the ones you didn't pick, and then the honorable mentions, and then the winner. It's up to you guys if you want to do a tag team back and forth with images, or
we could, Ron. That's fine with me. And then if you have a comment on something I said that you don't like, just holler.
Okay.
Fair enough. So you have We have 47 submissions for the assignment one category. Of course, one winner and 4 honorable mentions. So first up is coming in for a landing from the motion topic, Alan Wiggins.
All right, go ahead, Ron. You could do the first one.
Okay. Yeah. It's a great idea to get kids and pictures like this. And these days, with all the tools you have in the computer, a couple quick things. I really like to pose the kids in. There's a little bit of blur to it, but the background is all right there, and it's a little bit cluttered, so it got in the way of it. But it's a great idea to grab kids in action, and you get all kinds of things. Then I'm trying to be a little bit brief here. So,
Okay. Next up is New York City food vendor from Row of Things, Alan Wiggins.
Okay, and this was for I think
in the road.
Hey, Sean,
Yes.
these aren't what I submitted.
They would have to be because you selected them.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, maybe you're right. Okay.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. So this, both Ron and I like this image. It's a really nice street image, even though its topic is rows of things. What bothered us a little bit was the left-hand side, where you see half of the woman with part of the flag, and it looks like she's maybe holding something. And it really could have used a little more contrast, a little more brightness. But overall, it was really good. I think if you had used the dehaze filter in Lightroom, you might have taken out some of the cloudiness on. I guess that's the sort of the glass, not really glass or whatever the panels are in the front. But overall, we liked it. We didn't feel it was as strong as the 5 winners.
Next up is Bikes on Ice for the topic motion, Claudia Jakubowski.
Okay. Like I said earlier, these kids in action can be a whole lot of fun. And so the kid in the middle is in a really good pose. There's some software nowadays with in Lightroom that you can lighten up people's faces and make them a little bit more accessible to the view. So you got a really bright background that's kind of blinding you and making it hard to see these folks. And the one thing that kind of makes it a little bit hard to fall in love with the picture is that big green thing in the background. And I say that only because I had a picture I was absolutely in love with that had a big blue dumpster in the back. And it took me 3 contests to figure out that was killing it every time. So it's probably working against you, and a couple of brushes with Photoshop might help that, but it's a little bit bright otherwise.
Next up is Hindu Evening Prayers, Nepal. Topic Candlelight, Connie Frisbee Hood.
Okay, so we think there's a candle there, but it's because it's actually a slow shutter speed, and you've got a lot of blur both in the hands. I think looks like she's maybe shaking the bell, but you really can't see the candle in her hand, and you can't really see the candle. I suspect that's what it is on the pedestal to her right. All you see are bright lights, and they're a little overexposed, so you really are not getting the picture of a candle there. That, and plus the background. When you're shooting portraits like this, if you use a wider aperture and get less detail in the background, I think you'll have a stronger image.
Oh.
Next up is Turtle in the Sun from the topic Isolated Objects, Dale Marie Schechter.
Yeah, this is a great specimen. He's nice and sharp here up front. There's a lot of dark shade along this side of the shell, And I know that there's a lot of pattern in that in the shell that so you have the very dark and the shade below the shell, and then on the shell itself, it's very, very bright. And if you tone that down and brighten up the head of the turtle as well, then it takes on a whole new personality. You really get to delve into it. But right now, because of the the fact that it's a bit overblown on the back of the shell, and again the head being dark, you kind of miss the impact that that could have. So that's probably the negative. But in fairness, it's cropped really nicely. So many times people take specimens like this and have too much background in it. So it's very nicely cropped and perfectly placed in the frame.
Next up is Mohawk Basket from the topic Geometric Patterns. Dan Steen.
Okay, so this is one that both Ron and I liked a lot. The interesting thing that we felt was that if you flip this around 180 degrees so that the holes are pointing up at you, we don't know if that would be stronger, but it was certainly one to consider. It's a lovely image. It's well exposed. I like the cropping. The square is works very well with this. We just thought that it might have been a little stronger if you turned it upside down. But it's a really nice image. It just wasn't one of the top 5, but it was close.
Next up is Perched from Row of Things, Claudia Jakubowski.
Okay, this is a great idea. Being able to get these pigeons every now and then they perch up on the line or a telephone pole or something and make a wonderful image. So you took time to get it squared up. You see the piece of shingle or the siding on the bottom is always perfectly lined up with the bottom of the picture, and you got this centered in the middle. So all of that seems to work really well with it. The one issue that started to bother me, the more we looked at it, and Joel commented as well about the noise. There is a software that could tone that noise down, and there's a little bit of a white margin around a couple of the birds too that you really would need to take it out to make that work. But it's a great effort. Somebody had a good eye to kind of pick this out. Just need a little more work to kind of polish it up to really work for you.
Yeah, we really like this.
Yeah.
Next up is No Books Were Harmed, Hand Folded. Topic Books, Dow Smith.
This is one Ron and I had a kind of a difference of opinion, but we both like the image in terms of its ability. Its processing is nice. The coloration is nice. All the lighting is really pretty. But we felt like this was somebody else's art. Somebody else, we think, set this up. And this was just a photograph that was taken maybe off the shelf in a bookstore, or maybe not. But we just didn't feel that it was the artist, the photographer's work. It was somebody else that set this up. And if we're wrong, we totally apologize.
Next up is Facing the Storm Alone from the topic Isolated Objects, Elena Kesey.
Yeah, this one really popped out at both of us. I think the first time through, and was really close, and in the end, really close to being selected. So being able to get that downpour right in the middle here, and got it just a little, which is good, a little bit off center, and that works. It just feels a bit like the house is a little bit soft there, and it needed to be a little bit sharper. And Joel, you had some other comments there. I can't remember quite.
I don't either. I do know that this was the last out.
Yeah, it was.
There was just one other one that we liked just a hair better, because this was a really nice image.
Very nice. Yeah.
Hey, next up is a representation of Jesus at St. Pat's from the topic Candlelight, Fred Moody.
Okay, so because it was candlelight, we felt to some extent that the candles really should have been the primary subject, and it's not really here. and on our screens, and frankly, can't, you never know when you're looking at monitors, but we felt that Jesus, in the middle of the dress is blown out, and the face is kind of blown out. It's a nice image, but it's a little dark on the bottom, and we just felt that it didn't really hit the topic as well as it could have. So that's one of the reasons we took this one out.
And it's so bright that your eye keeps drawing to that. And I've looked at this several times. And I forgot that the candles are there, and that, of course, part of the theme. But if one could go back and kind of tone that the figure in the middle down, the Jesus figure, and so it's visible but not so bright, it may have a whole different character to it.
Next up is Lonely Flower from the topic Isolated Objects, Dale Marie Schechter.
Yeah, and by the way, themes sometimes are really, really hard to shoot to, and this isolated object one is really interesting. So I understand the concept here. Here's the maybe the issue that we zoned in on right away. This flower is not particularly photogenic, which could be okay in certain settings, but it is dead center in the middle of the frame, and there's some softness and some other things, but it needed to be something that I was really going to look at and remember, and it just didn't stand out in that way. And maybe in part it can be helped by looking at it, by framing it off center a bit, but in the end, there are so many wonderful images in here that it was competing with, that it just wasn't going to have much of a chance, I think, because of the flower. It just needed to be a more robust flower, I think.
Ron, I felt that if they cropped off maybe a third at the top, it might have been a little tighter image. It would have helped it a little bit too.
Yeah.
Next up is Lighting a Candle, the topic Candlelight, and Steam.
We love this image. This is another one that we owned that could have, actually it was in the top 5 for a long time. There's one issue that we couldn't get away from, and that is that the table looks like it's tilting from high to low. And I'm almost positive it's not. The women, I mean, the girls look like they're straight up and down, and even the railing looks pretty much straight up and down, but the table looks like it's falling backwards. So that was a problem. And then the 2 women in the very back that are sort of, I guess it looks like they may be taking a picture. That was distracting to the image as well. But we really like the image. It's well done. We love the light on the girls' faces.
Yeah, with all the software and such you have these days, our club, and Joel, I suspect yours would be okay with going into Lightroom, straighten up that table in the front,
Absolutely.
and going in and cloning those folks out of the background, because it just really appealed to us both with these girls up front, and especially with these lenses, these cameras these days with such high ISO capacity on them. You're able to do a picture like this now that would have been impossible 5-10 years ago.
Next up is Roasting from the topic Coffee, Dallas Smith.
Yeah, what an interesting topic, coffee, because I never would have thought of that as a theme, and there were some really interesting subjects here that were shot. The one thing about this, I love the beans. I can even smell them just looking at them. So that was all good, and you're pretty sharp on the center of the stir and the rotator in the middle of the drum. But it needed something to grab you. I think it was a good capture, and a lot of the beans are really sharp off to the upper left. And of course, it was a little bit caused the motion blur down in the front, which is fine, but it just wasn't as interesting as it could have been. So that's why we weren't able to my recollection, keep it in.
And on this one, Ron, if I'm pretty sure that we were very not happy with the upper right, that little triangle, that was a problem.
Right.
Again, it's hard, we know that, but you could have toned down the left side where the brightness is on, on the sort of underneath the coffee canister there, but or the coffee grinder.
That's one of the things that was interesting doing this with Joel, because he would pick up some of those things that I oftentimes I'm still having to work to try to see detail after 75 years. So I'm not quite there, but he was able to really zone in on that, and it would have made a big difference.
Wish I could do it on my own photography.
Next up is to be or not to be. On the topic coffee, Elena Kesey.
Okay, this was one of my favorite images. As I went through, I think this is a very clever image. I love the little guy with the bean, the coffee bean, getting ready to dump it into the coffee. I like the color. I think the exposure on that white cup is really good. There are no hot spots. It's really well done. The background is great. The one issue that we're giving both of us some problems is it's not sharp except on that little guy. Everything else is just sort of out of focus, and that sort of while sometimes it works well in this instance, we felt that there should be a little more sharpness.
I mean, it's a great shot setup. It's really unique, and I would have perhaps done a number of different tests on here with different depths of field and lighting and so on to see which one really took it all the way there. But great idea.
Okay, next up is Holy Light. Topic Candlelight. Fred Moody.
Okay, Joe, you might have to help me with this one.
Okay.
Remember, we had the candles on the left-hand side and no candles in the back and off to the right. Lighting up on the walls was interesting, but there's some asymmetry there. And wasn't there some issue from left to right on the lines on the wall were not straight too?
Yeah, they were not completely straight, and also the candle light, if it was orange, would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
These candle lights are blown out. The lights themselves.
Yeah.
Next up is Birds in a Row. For the topic Row of Things. Greg Effner.
This is another one. This could have been a top 5. Just I'm getting all the good ones, so I'm very happy to see that. But this was a really, really nice image. First, I believe they're bluebirds. Don't quote me, but they look like it. I love the angle that these are taken at. This is really nicely done. Great focus. I think that if I had 2 picky things I would do, I would have cropped it in on the right side so that one lone stick, the little one at the bottom, and maybe even the next bigger one, was taken out because you really don't need it. And I'm going to be really picky. I want you guys to look all the way to the left. There is a little teeny. I don't know. Can you see my?
No.
Okay. Let me see if I can hold on, because I think this is something that really gets people down. Hold on. Give me 1 second here to get the drawing tool. Let's see if I can do it right here. Can you see my take now?
Yeah.
Do you see that little thing? That is really annoying. And I know that's a little thing, but when you're looking around an image and you're looking to see where you're going to focus, when you come against that little thing and it just shouldn't be there. So that was a problem. But other than that, this is a beautiful image. This is easily fixable.
Next up is Shelving Rock Falls. Topic Motion. Janice Pritchett.
Yeah, I envy folks who have the capacity to stand out there in the water with a tripod and pray that their camera doesn't fall into water and get a nice shot like this. I mean, though you've got a nice, a slow, I'll call it a slow lens shot, but anyway, the you got a lot of motion blur in that water, and that's great. And the composition, having it flow out of the left-hand corner and down, works just perfectly. So the issue may be that if I'm just throwing this out a little bit, if we cropped a tiny bit off of the left-hand side and had it feel like it was coming out of the corner a little bit more, and we may have had a better picture, and also get rid of some of the image on the right-hand side. But I think, Joel, wasn't the issue in part that this technically had a lot of good qualities, but it just didn't jump out with the vegetation and the rocks and so on around it.
Yeah, and also right at the top of the waterfall to the left of it, I don't think that's a lens flare. It looks like there was some kind of maybe trying to clone
yeah.
or unclone. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what it is, but that was a problem.
Yeah, there's a couple of places where we saw lens blurs, and maybe a little later on talk about some of the over processing color things you need to attend to.
Right.
Okay, next up is My Life is an Open Spell Book. Topic books. Jana Kayward.
Okay. This is a really cool image. I mean, let's forget whether it's one of the top 5 or not. This is really, really neat. The Harry Potter books stacked up like that, and I'm not a Harry Potterer, so I'm sure that young lady has a name in the books, and then the dragon coming down from the right are all really nice. We had some question as to whether or not the lightning in the back, it's either a backdrop or whether it was somebody else's photograph. I don't really think that the photographer got all that lightning, but we could be wrong. Overall, the image was a little dark on our screens. Although, Ron, I will tell you that tonight it looks brighter for some reason.
Well, it does look brighter, and I'm seeing some red script across the backdrop.
Yeah.
I did not see the last.
Yeah, I did. We didn't see any of that last night.
And I'm not sure whether that works for or against it.
It looks almost like a book cover.
Yeah.
But it was a really good effort, and whoever did it should continue to do these things.
Yes,
but it didn't look like this on our screen last night, though.
And next up is Hoodoo Formation. The topic row of things. Joan Heffler.
Okay, and Joel identified this as probably Bryce Canyon or something like that. It's one of my travel locations that got on my list. So you've got the nice, perfect blue sky that you often get in that part of the country, and these nice, rich yellow and orange and adobe colors out of the rocks and so on. It's all really good. So a couple of things. One is a picture of this beautiful of an iconic place needs to be unique enough to be able to stand out on its own. So it's probably there are some ways to do this, but this is something that we all feel like we might have seen before. Now, A and B, you notice he has some light sand in the left-hand corner, and I'm seeing this now. I didn't see this the other day. And the lower left-hand side, it's a little bit blown out, and that might have needed to be toned down. But it just needs to be something unique. When I look at this, I know it's your image. It's not the one that everybody else is taking from this vantage point.
And again, Ron, remember on the right-hand side, that little outcropping at the very top of the rock?
Yeah.
It just shouldn't be there. Not necessary.
Next up is Doc from the topic motion, Kim Koza.
This is a beautiful image in terms of color, in terms of the pattern in the water, the softness. We really like the image, but the placement of the dock is so static, just sticking out from the left, that it cut what would be a beautiful image without it. To be honest with you, it would have been a great abstract of of slow motion water, but the doc really cuts it in half, and it really doesn't do a lot for it. So while we thought it was a beautiful image in terms of processing and color, the subject just didn't stand out to us.
Next up is Sun on Sun, topic Roll Things. Janice Pritchett.
Yeah. Okay. Great idea. Be able to get at this vantage point and have these rows coming towards you and converging in the background near where the sun is, and being able to get a good starburst out of the sun in the background as it's assume it's setting. So the a lot of the sunflower pictures they're really hard to make them unique, and I think that this one had a really good attempt at that. A couple of things. Joe and I aren't necessarily on the same page on this one minor detail. Joe, I think you kind of like the people on up in the upper right-hand corner.
Did I thought it was a little surprise in the photo.
Yeah, and that is good. I'm feeling better about it tonight. But initially, I looked at it and I thought they're kind of out of place with everything else and competing. So I did like the fact it moved the sun off center so that it just feels a little bit imbalanced in what could be a very static image. But look at these sunflowers as you go down the row here. Every one of these things has some lighted petals around it, which looked like it possibly could be natural in some places, but right down in the front, looks like it's either over processed or should have been processed down because they're very bright and they're kind of in your face. And it may be if you go back and work on that could be a little bit better, but it's that kind of took it down for me, I guess.
Yeah, like we kind of tossed this back and forth. But maybe there might even have been a flash on that in the front, because
Right.
But I don't know. Can't tell for sure.
Yeah.
Next up is We Are Worthy of Love and Joy, the topic Candlelight. Jana Kaywood.
Well, this is another one. I'm getting all the good ones here. And this is another one that we really liked in terms of its composition. We I suspect that's book pages that are turned in like that. So that really is nice. The candle is well exposed. You can see the orange. It's not blown out. What we did think is that this one, the only thing that is sharp in this, and this is just the opposite of what we were saying for some of the other images, is the sort of the brass candle holder. And that's not enough, wasn't enough to hold us in. The rest of the image, including the book, was just too soft for us. It didn't hold up. Plus the inside of the left, I'll call it a heart, that piece is blown out, and you've got a lot of white that's blown out both right and left on the book pages.
The placement of the objects in the frame and with the square crop here seemed to be the right decision for it. You know, the symmetry, it works.
Yeah.
Next up is New Mexico Grocery Store for the topic Geometric Patterns. Kim Koza.
Yeah, I was in New Mexico a few years ago and got a picture not too unlike this that I thought was really on at the time, and then I realized these sharp shadows just were really hard to look at. Your eye has to really work. You see tables there and so on. I mean, I think our conclusion was that this general concept can really work if you go and shoot pieces of it. You know, maybe the red jar in the a water jar in the corner, or some of the roof, or something, and so on and so forth. But you're competing right now. You're trying to see the tables, and you're trying to see the geometric patterns, and so it's just an awful lot. But you know, obviously kudos to the photographer for actually finding and catching something like this.
Next up is Christmas Candle for the topic Candlelight. Linda Tomasulo.
This is a beautiful postcard or a Christmas card. We This is one where I have really nothing bad to say about it. It just wasn't one of the ones that we chose the top five, but it could easily have been. The lighting in this is good. The candle is well placed. The one on the halfway down the candle where that little white half moon is, if you on the right side, that one's a little distracting. But even so, with all of that, this is a really well done image, and the photographers to be commended. It just didn't make the top five, but it was very well done.
Next up is shapes on the topic geometric patterns for Marguerite Hill.
Okay.
I'm glad you got this one, Ron.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is tough. I mean, in the respect that the tone quality here, the range is really dark blacks and light whites, and I can see detail in even some of these grids. So there's an awful lot to look at here that is really captured really well. I have not a clue what it is. I don't know if it's a model. I don't know if somebody was in a helicopter over a city, although I seriously doubt that. But it's just that I trying to connect it with reality and understand what you're looking at was really, really tough. But there's an awful lot of just good talent that went into the capture there. Otherwise,
the shapes and patterns are great. I mean, the circles and the rectangles and the squares. I mean, it's really quite interesting.
Next up is Princess, on the topic isolated objects, Rich Schreibstein.
This is another one that we really, really like. The negative space is great. The little girl, I guess it's a little girl, standing there is great. There are a couple of things that I think would have helped it a little bit. I don't know whether the cheeks and the nose on the little girl are maybe brightened too much. I mean, if that was really her face, that's interesting. I doubt it, because the rest of her face isn't like that. But I know, and I understand the photographer was trying to bring out her face, and it's just a little much. And then on the wall itself, there are some of the things, the little white things, little white dots that are sort of at the little girl's, I guess, forearm, and halfway across, and a little black dot on the other side. Some of those things could have been cleaned up, and maybe vignetting this would have helped as well to hone in on the little girl, but still keep that negative space.
I think that the setup was really smart. The girls on the left, you have all this blank area, a negative space to the right of it, and it's in that regard, everything's all together. The thing that bothered me as well was I just looked at the girl, and it did seem, because it was so light, her cheeks there, just seemed over processed a bit, and it may not have been. Maybe we're misinterpreting what was, but that's just the way it struck me.
Next up is Spring at Crispin Falls, with the topic motion, Marty Bannon. Next.
Okay. This is another one at the placement in the frame, having the falls to the left is really a smart idea. And then you have this, the rest of the rock outcropping on the right-hand side. So it's really nicely balanced, and it's a good landscape design. However, and I got this from Joel. So, Joel, what's your issue with the water itself? I'll let you explain that, because
I've never seen water that's that blue. I mean, I don't know. And if you look on the rocks have sort of a blue hue to it. So I think that if you tone down the blue, you would have a stronger image. But there's a blue cast that runs all along the rocks, and I just have never seen water that looks like that. Looks unnatural.
And the counterpoint to that's the green, the very bright green up there in the middle. that may need to be toned down a bit to be more. It seemed like it was not natural as well.
Although it could be spring, but
It could be, yeah.
but yeah.
Next, next up is blowing in the wind. The topic motion. Ronald Spear. Next.
This is a it's a nice image. From the motion standpoint, it definitely meets the topic because you can see him blowing. You can see the dandelion. I guess they're seeds coming off of it and floating. So that's really well done. To me, and I don't know how Ron felt about this one, but the image overall is flat. And one of the four things you always got to look at is light, composition, subject matter, and color, black and white. And this does not, the blacks are not really black, the whites are not really white. And it's just a fairly even grade all the way through. So while it's an interesting image, it just didn't have enough bite in it or crispness to stay in for us.
I mean, it was a flat. I'm sorry, the depth of field was very shallow here, and you can see the fence, and that was a good feature to this. But I kind of would like to have seen more tonal contrast here, not as flat as Joel was saying, and then the man's face. I'd like to see that a lot more sharply than I do now, and especially the dandelions. So you could probably stop that down a little bit and pick up some depth of field there and some sharpness in part of that. I don't know. It was a great idea, and you know, sometimes you do these, you have to kind of shoot them repeatedly till you finally get the combination you want.
Next up is blue tables and tan benches. Topic: roll things. Phil Olivo. Next.
Okay, this is this mine or yours, Ron? I don't remember.
No, go ahead, because
when you're shooting, to me, and I think Ron agrees with me, when you're shooting a row like this, you've got to make it more interesting. This goes right down the center. There's too much on both sides. I would have made a vertical and maybe shot it from the other side so you didn't have the wire fence and the benches and the track. I think that the composition could have been cool if it was from the other side. And I hate to say, you know, I'd like to see it from the other side, but in this instance, there's just too much in the background. Or the other thing you could have done again was use a shallower depth of field because you've got just too much in this when the subject matter is these blue tables.
I think playing with the angle that
Oh, that was the other thing. Yes.
yeah, would be a big help. And I mean, kudos to you for picking out the fact that this is a nice bright color, and so they had a lot of potential for doing this. But when you're shooting ordinary objects, you really have to look for some unordinary angle or view or something to really make it pop. And it would be good to kind of move in a couple of different angles, and you don't want those cars in the background that Joel was pointing out there. I don't believe, but yeah. Anyway, anything else, Joel? Did I miss anything?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
All right.
Next up is slow but steady wins the race. The topic: isolated objects. Neil Shapiro.
Yeah. I'm glad I got this because I like this turtle guy. I really, I looked at him and I really zoned in on his these sharp claws and so on. I've got a few close-up turtle pictures of myself that I've gotten over the years that I just really like him. I think because I'm a slow guy, that kind of relates. So getting down nose to nose with him like this, it's perfect. You got the road coming in back there. That's all really good. I think that the shell, you're not going to get a lot of color and detail there, but you got the detail, but the color is kind of missing. It needed to be a little bit, to me, a little bit more saturated, if you will. Maybe it was a little bit overblown. And Joel, you pointed up the sky here, which I was too slow to pick up the last time, being a turtle myself.
I just felt that the sky could have been toned down a lot. I mean, the brightest part of the whole picture is the cloud right directly behind the turtle, and so your eye keeps going to the turtle, but because that's so bright, you keep my eye keeps popping up there and then coming back. But I agree. Getting down on your your belly or your knee with the sky is a really good image. I mean, really, went to the University of Maryland, and the University of Maryland, the turtle is our mascot, so I think this is a good image.
Next up is Feel the Heat. The topic, coffee. Marty Bannon.
Is that mine?
Yeah, Joel, go ahead on that one.
I can't remember. Okay, so I like we both. I think Ron and I both like this image better than the orange coffee grinder because it had more interest in it with the man's hands. The man's got great detail in his hands. The the coffee's beans in his hands are sharp. Um, there are a couple of things that sort of stood out to me, and if you looked at his right hand, the thumb, it's gray. It's still gray on this after you showing it tonight, which tells me, I think, that it might have been a little bit blown out, and maybe the photographer tried to darken it down a little bit in order to keep it, from shining out, and he darkened it just a hair too much, and it turned gray, which is totally out of balance with the rest of his hands. So I think the placement of his hands coming from the upper left into the coffee grinder and holding the beans are sharp. It's a nicely image. I like the fact that it was done with sepia tone in order to, sort of emphasize the coffee bean colors, but the hands just didn't work, particularly with that left thumb, right thumb.
Yeah, the skin tones there were a big issue. I love the fact I really wanted this one to work, and I focused in on how sharp and crisp those beans are in the middle. And again, you just smell them looking at them. And then you got the beans down in the roaster there are blurred, and that's perfect background. So again, compositionally and depth of field, all that's really good. It just it's a total turnoff with the way the skin was. And I will go back, on pictures like this, really work at trying to get the skin lighted properly. So, and think about the sharpness on it to make sure that you get the detail. Old hands can be really cool. I'd shoot mine one of these days because I got similar little marks all over them too, but it do make it interesting.
Next up is I was part of a car once. Topic, geometric patterns. Phil Olivo.
Is that mine?
That's yours.
Okay. Well, it's a great idea. These graphical qualities of it, and the frame is really good for that. The way it's framed up, and that always means a lot to me. But and you see these striated tonal lines along the side of it, and I understand it's part of a car because you're telling me, but I didn't know that looking at it without the title, and it's not enough to lead me to my eye from a beginning point to the payoff through the image. It's just two sort of random lines that didn't quite hit. Now you got a great the blue is really nice. The red tones are really, really good. And again, it trying to work that into an image abstract. There would have been a number of different ways to keep playing with that. I'm just sure this was not quite working for us.
Next up is Double Time for the topic, Candlelight, Sally Wilson.
We could be wrong, but we believe this was a double exposure. Um, the subject matter didn't quite just didn't hit us because if there's a candle inside the green vase, you really can't see a candle. You just see a white light, which to our mind looks like it's blown out. So you're not really seeing the candle light itself. You're just seeing a light in something. You could have put a light bulb in there and it would have looked the same. And the bottles and the small vases to the side, it just subject wise, it just didn't stick out to us as something that was unique. I think it was a good effort. I think the background is great. It's well exposed except for I'll call it candlelight because that's the topic, but it just is not really a strong subject for us.
Next up is surfboarding. The topic motion, Sharon Silversmith.
Okay, Joey, you have to help me with this. The first thing that struck me, I like the idea of capturing a surfer in the midst. I've seen a lot of good surfer pictures with a lot of really good lighting and so on. This face gets obstructed by the wave coming up, and you can really emote with him better. If you didn't have that, you're able to really connect with him, and then you'll sort of understand what he's feeling. So now, all that said, as some concerns, look how this wave runs from the upper right-hand corner, and you can see it runs right out the bottom on the left. So I think that you took a lot of time to try to set that up and work, and it looks like the water's pretty well in focus. But it seems to be flat lighting, a flat day, and a wave in the face, a little bit of a splash in the face there that kind of worked a little bit against it there. Joe, what?
Yeah, no, you hit it. The one unique thing about this is that normally when you see surfers, you see them literally from the other side where the wave is coming at the photographer. So I don't know where this photographer is. Unless they're on a boat or another surfboard, because they're behind the wave actually, which is kind of interesting. But the light is just not strong enough. Another time of day might have been better, and I do agree with you. You would love to have seen the expression on his face. That really hurt it.
Yep.
Well, next up is Railroad Station, Poughkeepsie, New York. Topic: row of things. Rich Schreibstein.
I'm really getting all the good ones because this is another one that we really like the concept. The rows of things are there. The lights, the poles, the repetition from the foreground seats. You go back to the back, and you do have a subject back there. It looks, you can hardly see it, but it looks like it's maybe a man or a woman with a mask. And we would like to have seen something more definitive than just kind of a gray subject back there that we can't really identify with. So we keep going back and trying to figure out who it is, what it is, why he's sitting there, and we didn't. But overall, the image is well exposed. The lighting is good. The concept is good. The composition is good. It's just that we didn't feel that when we look that down, when the leading line takes us right down to him or her, and we really can't really see what it is very strongly. Maybe if it was a little closer, I don't know, not quite sure, but it was close. It was a very close call.
It was.
Next up is Cannery Row. Topic: row of things. Sean Sullivan.
Okay. This is interesting. You found a place that has some really good wood surfaces there. I mean, you get a lot of contrast in here, and I know sometimes when it's varnished right or whatever, it really stands out a lot of the grain, and that makes for a really interesting picture. And you've got a lot of different things here set out that really capture your interest. So all of that seems to work really well. The thing is, trying to look for a pathway for my eyes through this, and I end up seeing one row after another, and there's not really a path to go through there if you know what I'm saying. It's you can see the detail in every one of those jars. So that part was really well executed and with the wood. But Joel, I'm not saying it quite the way we discussed it the other day. You had another thought.
This is it's well exposed. It's got all the qualities of rows of things, but it sort of lacks. It's like, okay, I went into a store, I saw this, I took the picture, and I brought it home. It just doesn't have a wow factor. I mean, it's well done. There's no problem with it. There's nothing that stands out that makes you want to look at this more than just looking at the image because it's got rows. It wasn't enough.
Next up is sedum. Topic: geometric patterns. Ronald Spear.
Okay, so I like sedum shots. I think this is really interesting. I like the purple sedum in the middle. I don't like it in the middle, but I like the flower itself. I think having that in the middle, and then having the upper left-hand corner not have green space in it, and having that little gray area there, it just was not strong enough. It's a nice image of sedum, but it's not really strong in terms of the compositional elements for it. And sometimes if you've got some of the sedum, I guess they're leaves, I don't know what you call them, that are turning like a yellow, and looks like they're on the waning side, you could either change the color so that it matches the greens, the more rich greens, or you can crop it in a way so that doesn't show. But the one at the very bottom, right underneath the purple flower that is dying, it's just killing what could be a really pretty image.
When you get to competitions like this where they're rising to the top, these little details like that can absolutely kill it, and they're the ones that I miss all the time. So I'm not critical of anybody else. It's just it's very hard to remember to think through all that. The thing is, because it's in the middle, I think about what my eye does. I look at the purple one in the middle, then I go up and go out in different directions, sort of like radiate out. I don't. I'd like to be able to have my eye take a path to through the picture to the payoff, and I think the sedum can be the perfect mechanism to do that because there are lots of lines in them. So that's the compositional thing. It kind of jumped off me. It's a different way of saying what Joel was. It was just a little harder for me to fall in love with the picture as a consequence.
Up is ties and spikes. The topic: row of things. Thomas Whitmore.
It's mine or yours, I don't remember.
I guess it's mine.
I think it's yours, yeah.
Yeah, you talked about the sedum, yeah. It took me a while to find the rows of spikes because I think that's unique and interesting, and being able to look at something unique is really kind of what this is about. You want to get something and just what I was commenting about the last picture. My eye could follow the spikes from the front all the way to the back, but it's at a different angle. But you know what? The spikes and all that aside, there is so much growth in between here and with the light catching these little weeds sticking up in here, they end up distracting you so much from what you really want to be your center point, will be this row of spikes going back. And again, excuse me, if your angle would be different, it might have helped. But I think it's always going to be difficult as long as you're distracted by these shrubs sticking up between the railroad ties in the back.
Yeah, and Ron, if I can, the line of spikes that go from the middle to the upper right, and there's a little curvature, are really cool. One of the things, this photograph is washed out. The lighting is pretty bland. It's interesting because if you look, sorry about that. I don't know who that is, but let me get rid of that. Sorry. The shadows from the spikes, particularly in the foreground, are really interesting. I think if you had darkened the object that you were really trying to emphasize, the whole line, which would make it stand out more from the railroad, to get their ties. It would have been a stronger image. And I do agree that I think I would have tried to make this a vertical almost, and just get rid of most of the left-hand side.
Exactly.
And then put more contrast and darken down the railroad spikes going back. I think it would have been a much stronger image.
It's not unusual for me to take a picture, I look at it, and it's just not working, and put it back aside. And in September, and by December, I'm starting to see what you're going to need to make it there. So if you get a picture you've taken and you really are in love with it and you think it's going to work, don't throw it away. Keep going back. Keep thinking about it. I'll put them on my website so I can look at it when I'm in the, in the doctor's office in between appointments or something.
Let me get rid.
Next up is books are for drying. Sharon Silversmith, the topic books.
Let me get rid. This is a really nice image. I there's not much to say about this. It's well lit. It's an interesting concept. It's a still life, and the leaves are, they're placed there, but it's a really nice image. It's well lit. There's nothing under or overexposed. I think that it looks like a rug. Maybe this is on a floor or on a low table, but the upper right and upper left rug, that could have been burned down substantially, so that you didn't have any distracting elements other than the book and the flower and leaf. It's a well done image, and it close to the top 5, but it just wasn't strong enough when we finish. Let me get
Next up is walking the line. The topic geometric patterns. Sally Wilson.
Let me get rid.
Yeah, this is one of those, because of the geometry here, that I really wanted this picture to work. And I looked at and it's sharp and crisp, and you've got this interesting work over the on the right-hand side with that stone wall, and the line, the pattern, all from the light coming down through.
Let me get rid.
It's a well shot picture from this angle, and absolutely really unique.
Let me get rid.
But I get caught up on the fact that you really want to see the person's face, and the shadows across the face and those striations just kind of kill it, because you want it, that's the payoff on the picture. Have you seen this other, and it's going down to his face, and now I don't understand quite what I'm looking at. So it's I don't know I don't know how you fix that, if you can.
Let me get rid.
Next up is pick a book, any book. The topic books.
I'm gonna love this image. I know this one. This was one of my favorite images, in terms of composition and the subject matter and the placement. It's just a delightful image. I don't know whether the photographer used some kind of a artistic filter or not. If he didn't, it's even more. It's just really great. The one, I guess, 2 issues that sort of bothered me. One is the floor is so bright and so standoutish that you stop looking at the books and look at the floor, and that just didn't work for me. The color, even if they had toned down the color maybe a little bit, it would have been better because the books are your subject matter, no question about it. And so I just couldn't get past that floor being so bright and so bold when the rest of the wood on the bookshelves was so nicely weathered. But this is a beautiful image. I mean, this is one that I would fix and then hang on my wall.
Yes,
I like that.
I agree with you. I did do this the other night. If I hold my hand up over the floor, it's a whole different image, and it just really appeals.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree with you.
Let me fix that. Next up is where was I? Surfboarding. Topic motion. Sharon Silversmith.
Hold on, Sean.
Yes.
On that last, since that was yours, and I like to beat up on you anyway from last year. Now you might consider on the very left hand side, the wood panel
Here?
in the foreground. I think I would try and make the floor like that color, so that it all sort of blends in, and then all you'll see are the color of the books.
Good idea. Okay, back surfboarding.
Sorry about that.
Topic motion. Sharon Silversmith.
We saw that one.
Oh, that's I'm
Going the wrong way.
I'm going the wrong way. Sorry about that. Hairy eyeball. Topic: geometric patterns. Thomas Whitmore. Let me get
Yours, Ron.
Okay, yeah. Kudos to the photographer for finding this a horse in the stall, and it's a huge horse and a tiny window, and what a contrast. So I think that's a great find. The issue is going to be getting the right lighting. You really want that horse, the skin and the blood vessels under the skin and the hair and all that, and the eyes. You want to be able to really emote with this horse. You want to see that eye really sharp, and you want everything, the horse and so on, to be very bright and very sharp. And right now, it's just too much shaded. I even like the fact that the trim along the window in the upper right-hand corner of the window there is all kind of mangled up there. It makes it feel real. And one thing I didn't pick up the other day is the siding on the right-hand side here is just a little bit brighter than needed to be. It needs to be toned down more like the siding in the bottom right-hand corner. But yeah, I love the horse. I just wanted that one to work and just pop out of that window in many ways.
Mentions. First up, windows in a row for the topic row of things. Greg Effner.
We didn't like this. Oh, no, I'm kidding. This is wonderful. I mean, the tonalities in this, the reflections on the floor, the repetition of the windows, the fact that the windows in the back are not blown out, and that lone figure standing down there. Even this is one where we see enough of it looks probably a woman, but we see enough of her to hold our attention down there. But everything, all the leading lines, this is just a beautiful image, really well done. And it looks like, I'm pretty sure this looks like it was vignetted in order to hold your attention, particularly on the right-hand side. The left, I got some writing, from the, like windows in a row and whatnot, but it looks like it's all been toned down in order to bring you right down into those lines. The brickwork is great. It's just a beautiful image. Nice job.
For some reason, the more I look at this negative space in the upper right-hand corner really works for this because my eyes relax. I look at it, I see this line going down, I see the woman in the background, this nice texture in the floor kind of comes up, and yeah, it gives a very peaceful feeling. And if the picture can bring an emotion out in you, and it's really effective. And I think this is particularly good.
Let me get next honorable mention. It's 5 candles from the topic candlelight. Joe Cotronio.
Okay. That's mine. Yeah. This popped out the first time I looked at it. You've got an even number of candles, which is perfect. All the toning is just absolutely dead on. In around the candle, just a little bit of yellow there. These candles have a nice red color and tone to them. And you've picked up the textures, but I can feel the wax in my hands just looking at the candles. So and somehow you've been able to take those 5 and put them in a configuration that I just wouldn't have thought of. It's just really nice.
Yeah, and the background is really well done on this.
Let me get Next up is Escher University from the topic books. Neil Shapiro.
This is obviously a fisheye, and if it's not,
Let me get
shocked. But this is again very similar to the first image with the windows. This is just so well done. Standing in the middle of this aisle, looking all the way down to a well-exposed window where you can just barely can almost see trees outside the window in the back, and the books all in a row. It's a beautiful image. It's a great black and white. Maybe if I would have to play with it, I don't know. Maybe there could be a little more contrast, but it does the way this is done, and the coloration. It's not a complete black and white, but it's really beautifully done. Very nice.
I've got some fellow photographers that I admire that do this kind of work, and I have not seen any of theirs that have been any better than this. But you just have the right exposure and tonal quality all the way down to the end. And I believe I'm guessing you took a little time to clean up any little imperfections as it goes. But yeah, this is gorgeous. It's a really, really nice black and white.
Our last honorable mention, a book of a different color for the topic books. Joe Cotronio.
Okay. Yeah, this is one Joe zoned in on this before I did, and I'd have to credit him with just seeing the beauty in this image, and it took me a little bit to get there. And then I realized, it's on a reflective surface, and then you've got these tones, this rainbow of colors across the edges of the papers. And I don't know how that came about, and whether that's part of the paper, what it is, but it's just gorgeous, and sort of almost like a monster's mouth and then eyes in the middle of it if you really stare at it too long. But this was, and Joe, you were more elegant in your description of this, but I really like this.
I did too. I thought it was, if not the best, it was certainly right up there with it. And what I didn't see when we saw it on our screen, I seen it tonight, is the rainbow circle. That
Yes.
it's circling what we'll call the mouth, but it's a beautiful. I don't know what kind of book it is, and I hope it was lit with multiple objects that created the color. But even if it wasn't, it's just beautiful. I love this.
Okay, and our winner,
This is going to shock everyone.
Shaker, Broom, and Shadows from the topic isolated objects. Linda Thomas Zulo.
Hey, this is yours to talk about.
You know what, Ron? Why don't you talk about it? Because this is one that you fell in love with.
I did. I looked at this first. It's the first time I saw it. It was number one, and it's something about the simplicity of it, and the real careful placement of these of the crop and frame with the shadows, the bar across, and the broom down, and the broom has all the wear on it. It just I can't explain it. There's a kind of a solitary quality that comes out of this. It just really is wonderful. And look how the even quality is of the gray, light gray area around the shadows there. Shadows are just wonderful. This is, I'd have this on my wall any day.
Yeah, and even the shadow from the peg in the upper left that doesn't have a broom on it.
Yeah.
That little piece that sticks down behind underneath the peg board is it's just wonderful. I mean, it's a really, really beautiful image. Well done.
Congratulations, Linda, and everybody else. We're going to move on to the assigned 2 topics now. There are 48 images, 4 honorable mentions, and 1 winner.
How are we doing on time?
Well, we could speed up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just make an adjustment here.
Yeah, if we're talking too much, tell us to shut up.
Okay.
But I will say before we start getting that the winner of this category, when both of us looked at this image, it was like, that's it.
Yep.
I mean, that stood out so much. So it'll be interesting when we get there.
Yeah, just wanna-
You there, Sean?
yeah, I'm here. I'm just
Okay. All right.
So, first up, Hilltop Fence for the topic fences. Dale Marie Schrecker.
Okay. Well, you know, the fence theme, we haven't had that in our club, and I didn't realize that it's a very tough area to try to do, because you need to get some wide open spaces to pick it up, and you need to make sure you don't have clutter on the horizon and so on and so forth. So it's very difficult for French pictures to come through in the end. Sky's really nice here. You got some patchy brown and the green. Of course, it can't be perfect, and it leads up to the trees. So it does what I was commenting about earlier, give you a place for your eye to follow. One of the problems on this one is, for me, was this post up in the foreground. It's such a prominent part of the picture that it's out of focus. Now, I like the fact that this is out in focus in the back, and some pretty well constructed lines, but that post really sort of killed it for me.
Yeah, and there are 3 things that I like about that I would mention. The man at the other end of the fence up on the hill, upper right, is a really neat aha moment. But the top of the barn, I guess it's a barn, is really distracting. And then in the left, as you come across the horizon line, it looks like a hammock and a bench and a chair. They're really distracting. I would have taken them out. Totally.
It may be that taking the roof out and taking the hammock out, and I was bothered a bit by the fact that the grass is patchy. You know, this is going to be a nice bucolic setting. Maybe there'd be a way to clone in the grass to be green in that area, and it would take on some other qualities. Yeah. Again, that post just it wasn't working for me.
I would say that this person should go back and try and work this image more, because it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up is Pond in Winter. The topic cold as ice. Elena Kesey.
This is a great shot. I mean, when we looked at this the first time, I mean, it was right up there. It could have been one of the top 5. It's well exposed. It's got a very interesting water pattern where it breaks in the ice, and it leads you back towards the bridge, which is snow covered. It's really well done. I'm a little, I know it's probably accurate, but I'm a little bothered by the brown on the left on the trees. I think I would have tried to desaturate that a little bit. Not maybe not totally, but desaturate it and then maybe darken some of the trunks just to give it a little more contrast. It's a really pretty image, and you could use this anytime you want as a Christmas card. It's great.
It and Joe, again, you know how you look at things differently a day later, and I could see this as a really good black and white, and working on the tonal qualities, total range here to get more contrast, as you're saying, because I really fell in love with this water coming out of the
Yep.
foreground all the way down toward the bridge. There were a lot of things I liked about it.
Yep. Me too.
Next up is fencing is a dead end job from the topic fences. Jana Kayward.
Okay. Well, this is a good this nice bucolic setting. You've tended to make sure that you had green grass, lots of lush green grass all over the place, and you've had some very bright areas in the back, and the grass in the far left-hand side there maybe is a little bit brighter, and the fence there a little bit blown out, but it's one of these things. The theme was supposed to be the fence, and trying to the fence is providing the context for the mill rather than the mill providing the context for the fence. So it's a kind of compositionally, and I don't know if that's a legitimate way to look at that. And Joel, you're more articulate about this than I was.
No, I agree. I agree with you. But the other thing that bothered me is that the fence on the left-hand side that goes back behind the mill is all washed out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so easy to darken down a little bit and then darken that whole area back in there.
That whole area is great.
So, but it's a beautiful shot of the mill. I think actually the fence is distracting to the mill.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but I mean, I like foreground elements, but I just think it's too heavy for the mill, and the mill is too heavy for the fence.
Right.
In both ways.
Next up is dance partners. Topic fences. Marty Bannon. Their topic.
Yep, this is a really pretty image. Color is perfect. The exposure is perfect. It's sharp all the way through, and you can just feel the beauty of it. It's obviously a fall day. If you look to the left, you get a lot of beautiful color in there. This could have been one of the top photographs, but again, here's the other issue. The foreground element in this photograph is the tree, and it is the subject. The fence is not the subject in this image. It's there. It keeps you from falling off the mountaintop, but it's the tree that's the subject. So as beautiful as it is, we just didn't feel that it was going to be strong enough in its topic and in relation to the other images, but it's a beautiful image.
Next up is broken fences. Topic fences. Ronald Spear.
Okay, well, you know the Saturday Night Live skit "Too Much Cowbell." There's too much fence here. It's the entire frame are the fences, and the lighting. So that's a piece of it. So I'm not quite sure how I would frame that. Maybe some of the area on the left would need to go away. But I mean, you got nice green grass, so that's good. The gray is very mid-level gray. There's not a lot of contrast. It's not a lot of really great light on the day that you shot this. So again, Joe, I don't know if I captured that right or not.
The only thing that I would add to that is I think that a different angle of view where you had more see through the fence posts, I think you'd have a little more interesting shot. But this it's just there's too much in it and not enough excitement in the fences.
Right. Next up is checking out the meadow. Topic fences. Tell us a bit more.
You're killing me. Okay. I, and to be honest with you, this is not really fair, because fences is a tough subject. But again, I'm going to give you the same the same line. I love the horses sticking their heads out. This is probably the same window that the horse was, in that Ron discussed earlier. But the fence is not the subject here. The horses are. And so when we look at the fences, they're there. I don't know whether it's a blue cast from the metal shed that's creating all the blue on the fence. It's not painted that way, I don't think. So it just doesn't work. I mean, I think that it's a good effort. I love the horses' heads. I think that's cool. I mean, I might have just made that a vertical, the left side and all of the fence. It just kept the horse heads, but the fence is just not strong enough to stay in.
Next up is the polar plunge. Topic, cold as ice. Alan Wiggins.
Yeah, this is a great capture. It's interesting how all of these faces are sharp all the way to the back, all the way up to the two girls in the foreground. And so I think the tonal quality of this is really, really nice. And interesting. So the good news, one could argue that you start off with the girls in the front right-hand corner and walk across the crowd with your eyes all the way to the background. But they're really the payoff, if you will, in terms of your journey through the image, and the chaotic picture, the movement of the people in the off to the left are not as interesting and not as much as you can zone in on. I see one lady's face there that obviously is recognized. In fact, it's cold water. And but it seems the subject are these two girls in the foreground, and I'm not sure to what extent the rest of those folks really contribute to it as a subject. And might need. I don't know if it's simply cropping out the left portion of it away from the girls, or whether it's more than that. Joel does more people than I do. He may have a better idea.
Okay. This is tough. I love this image for what it is.
Yeah.
Just like you said, I mean, it's beautifully done. I think maybe the angle, if you were a little bit further to the left, you could see, maybe get a little more separation of the people. That might help a little bit. I don't know. I like the guy in the back who's or I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but I think that's like sort of an aha moment that he's back there. But overall, it's just too jumbled, and I think the docs in the back are as interesting as the people, even though the people are great. I would have focused on these 2 or 3 girls right here in the front and made that my image somehow, though. I do agree with that.
Okay, next up is Ocean Fence with the topic fences. Dale Marie Schrechter.
Yeah, it's a fence. Well exposed. I even like the angle. It does look like the fence is failing a little bit, like it's falling over. I don't know if it is or not. Maybe it is, but it just doesn't have. And for the topic fences, it might have been great, but for a competition where you're competing, basically, even though we're supposed to pick the best ones, fences didn't do well. I don't think the fence in the back is helping it. You look out into the water and there's nothing interesting there. You got a boat that may be coming in from the right and one that's way out in the left. It's well exposed. It's a good picture of a fence, but it's just not strong enough in this competition.
Trying to figure out what the vertical here is a little bit of a challenge, because the horizon, it's not a horizon, but the shoreline over there is dipping down to the left, and
Right.
the fence looks like it's dipping a little bit too. So you got an awful lot of lines there to try to figure out to make that work, even if it were really good compositionally.
Up is Herring Cove Beach. Herring Cove Beach. Topic is solitude. Fred Moody. Herring.
Yeah, we talked about this one, and I zoned in on the fact that uh, I like the notion, the solitude of the couple down in the foreground on the shore. Um, but it bothered me a little bit that they were in the way of this reflection in the water from the sun right up to where they were. So I kind of wanted to see that reflection come all the way up and maybe have them off to the left, and that might have worked a little bit better. And but we went back and forth a little bit on this because we're just trying to figure out if that were our picture, what would you do with it? And that was kind of my reaction to it. But the tonal qualities are nice. The sky is a nice deep red, and you got this nice yellow in the water. So a lot of things about it to like.
Herring. Next up is Alone, but Not. Topic solitude. Joan Hefner. Herring.
This is it is solitude. It's very quiet there. You can sort of feel the quiet. I think the photograph, at least even now, even more, that you're showing it on your projector, it's blown out quite a bit. The bottom left leaves where the leaves are, and the grass is almost not green, but it's almost not white. I mean, but it's not really green either. You've got a lot of light in the sky. I don't think you need that. You probably could have cropped halfway down that tree and gone all the way across and just honed in on the
Herring.
stones, and I would have darkened a little bit the angel. I think that she's a little bit too bright, which again just draws your eye over there. But you really, I mean, it's the whole. In this instance, the scene is the cemetery, and you keep going to this one woman, and she's sort of overblown, and then you keep bouncing back to the lower left and the top right. So it's a really pretty image, but I would have cropped it way down and just made it a tighter image.
Herring is the lesson. The topic, people in a street scene. Marty Bannon. Herring.
Yeah, this is one I thought was really interesting to try to capture people. I don't do a whole lot of people photography, but when I do, I like to get some really interesting looking faces. This man has a really quite interesting face. His hand is moving out toward the front. I think we both agreed that particularly the woman's face, just seemed like it might have been processed up a bit more than it needed to be. But it was
Herring.
I think that he, particularly the gentleman, was particularly photogenic, and might have been quite interesting. But it would have been better maybe to try to think about the setting and what's around him and the actions. So the actions, it really didn't quite all make sense. I realized after I was trying to puzzle what it through, then I went back and looked at the title, which is the first thing I should have looked at. And it sort of explains it, but it didn't quite flow the way I thought it should.
So Ron, the bigger issues, all of that is absolutely true, but the trash can behind the woman's thumb, with the light post right in the middle of the picture, and the back and all of the background it's if you use a 2.8 or even a 4 lens and got back a little bit, you might be better. But all that background with the cars and the building and the sky, it just doesn't work. He's great, and even she is kind of cool. She's really concentrating, but I think she is a bit over processed, but that's,
Herring.
great.
I guess I got caught up in the fact I really liked his face and all the stuff he had there, but it was an awkward position and a bit of an awkward position. And, after a few more shots, you might have been able to get just the right motion. And then I didn't even get to the point to think about the background. That you brought up is absolutely would be the killer. You have to get that background out of my eyes. So I'm just looking at the faces.
Herring, please. Lavender 1. The topic, the color purple. Ronald Spear. Herring.
Is it yours or mine, Ron?
I think it's yours. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, this is again a lovely image. So it's a pretty landscape.
Herring.
The obviously the straight line, the color purple is there with the. I assume it's lavender. Maybe it's just south of France somewhere. I think there's probably a little bit too much sky. I like the image. I think that the center row of lavender is too big. I mean, I know you can't change it, but you could change the angle a little bit, I think, because you take that line, you go all the way to the back, and all you see is a tree. If you had moved to your left, maybe the lines would have pointed to the white barn in the right hand side, which would have given you compositionally a better image. It's a pretty image. There's nothing bad about it. It's well exposed, but it's just not strong enough in this competition.
Herring up is looking for greener pastures on the topic fences. Thomas Whitmore. Herring.
Okay. Horses are so cool to get into.
Herring.
To photograph and this had a lot of potential here. The problem in my eye is that it's fences as the topic, the horse is the subject, and the fence ended up being the prop for the interaction. Now, after focusing on the horse, look back the backdrop. That sky is just a really nice tone, nice light blue, and the clouds are really good. And but as photographs go, when you look at this dry grass in the front, it is not as photogenic. If you were going to do this, I would think that you would want to try to zone in, get away from that, and try to focus in on something nice and green and more edible looking for the horse, and try to get some the line on the neck coming down. But again, the biggest issue is it's the horse and not the fence, and the topic is fences.
Herring is paragliding. The topic solitude. Pengrando. Herring.
So this is it's a cool catch. You obviously can see, you can't see the emotion of the paraglider, but you can definitely make out the subject very easily. This is another one where I don't think the negative space helps you here particularly. You don't need all of it. Some of it maybe, but it's a subject of a paraglider. The light is not great on it. There's no real crisp lighting, and I think that the subject matter it's okay, but it's just not going to wow you. And the problem is when you see the winners, you just can't compete with those. It's a nice image. It's something that if I was on vacation and my wife was paragliding or I was hang gliding or whatever, it would be a nice image. But it's not I don't find it a strong competition image.
Herring. Next up is, I think there is a hole in my hat. People in the street scene. Dance team.
Yeah, this was nice.
I shot a picture a few years ago of a little boy in a similar kind of setting like that, and it's still one of my favorites. Actually, having gone to see this, I went back and pulled it back up. It is so cool. These two maybe twins, whatever, but what a nice capture. I don't know. I don't know if I have any critique on that to improve it. Joel, I don't know what you think, but you zoned in on it as well.
Yeah, no, this was one that really competed for the top 5.
No.
I think again, if you look past the boy with the dark blue shirt, it looks like there are people sitting up there maybe, and I think this is another one where vignetting on the upper right and left and even the bottoms might have helped it a great deal. But there's nothing really wrong with this image. It's got great action. The expression on the light shirt, the light blue shirt young man is great. I think he's holding his hat and trying to catch the water. I mean, it's a really nice image. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's just could only pick 5. This would have been one of my top 5 if I could do 7.
Next up is Braving the Storm. The topic, cold as ice. Greg Effner.
Yeah, this is really pretty. This was definitely this made, as we went through round after round, this made it to the very, very end. There's nothing wrong about this image. I love the streaking snow. I love maybe a little more angle on the branch, but you know, you got to get what you get. This is gorgeous. I mean, this bluebird is just perfect. I mean, you have nothing bad to say about it. We just couldn't pick it at the very end. But the only thing I would have liked to seen is maybe a little bit of snowflakes on his head. But you can't do that. Anyway, it's a lovely image. I have no comment, not one negative thing to say about this.
Ditto.
Next up is The Photographer's Eye, and the topic, tools of the trade or profession. Joe Cotonio.
Well, somebody was innovative, having too much fun one day. This was kind of fun. The
Harrington.
Obviously it's assembled in Photoshop, red background, front on the 24-105 lens, and the eye, and it all goes together. I think that it was innovative. It wasn't something I fell in love with, I guess, given the other pictures. Good decision to do a square crop on it.
Harrington.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it had all the right elements. It just didn't grab either one of us.
No.
In terms of the subject, it was clever, but it just didn't grab either one of us in terms of moving it up the ladder.
Even though we both shoot Canon.
That's right. It's my favorite lens.
Next up is The Golden Gate Morning. Topic, long and tall. Neil Shapiro. Harrington.
Mine?
Yes.
Okay, so here's my statement. When you shoot, look, there's nothing wrong with this image. It's really well done. I don't even mind the outcropping of rock on the left. It's a little heavy, but I've been up in Marin County. I've been there many times. My son used to live just up the road from here. But when you shoot this bridge, because it has been shot so many times from so many angles, if you don't have something unique in the image, it's just not going to hold up. There's nothing wrong with this image. I maybe would like to see a little more of San Francisco on the other side, but okay. It just is not going to wow you when we've seen hundreds of these. So and that was our take on it. It's well done. It's nicely composed. I even know where you're standing because I used to probably have been up there 100 times, but it's just a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge at this point.
Harrington.
It just doesn't have enough oomph to push it up the ladder in terms of competition.
Harrington. Dizzying. Topic, long and tall. Sally Wilsey. Harrington.
Yeah,
Harrington. Harrington.
This one, I think we took a little bit of time to try to puzzle it through. It's a really unique image, and I like the fact that the tree is coming close to out of that right-hand corner and you walk up toward the center and you see this burst. I seems like it might be a motion
Herring,
blur, maybe along with a single shot as well. I mean, somebody took a lot of time to set this shot up and try to get it right. It was
herring,
very creative, but it just, and I don't necessarily have any particular criticisms to make of any of the lighting or anything. Some of the lighter areas were kind of cloud colored, not necessarily blue, but there just was a lot of competition in this competition.
Yeah, I did like the angle because normally you see this shot and somebody standing under it looking straight up.
Yeah.
I did like the angle, but
herring, herring, herring. Up is White Fence Summer. Topic fences. Brian Hoffman. Herring, herring, herring.
well, this of all the fences, this was my favorite. And the reason it was my favorite is because it really is a serene,
Herring.
beautiful pasture. The one thing, and it's not,
Herring,
again, fences are tough when you got to pick 5 images from all the different categories. But the one thing that sort of, I kept sitting up as high as I could to see if I could see over the fence in the shadow, because I would like to have seen a little of the grass on the other side from the top of the fence. But I think the photographer's placement here is lovely. The fact that he's got the tree in shadow, and it's obviously just behind him, so he's shooting from the shadow into the light, is very well done. In the left hand side of the image where the fence goes out, I probably would have tried to clone in the grass there so that it went to the top of that, just to the bottom of the top rails. So because I don't think was necessary, but I just keep trying to look over the top to see what's there. But this was my favorite fence image, but it just wasn't strong enough.
I
herring,
agree. As fences go, this was really good. I like the color, that sky just up there. I just felt really serene looking at that, but it's such a nice blue, and the greens down at the bottom were very nice too. Just had a good feel. I'm not real excited about super symmetric pictures, and this was very symmetric. But even with that, I did like
herring,
the overall look of it.
herring, herring. Next up is Seeking Perfection. Tools of the Trade or Profession. Dan Steen. Herring, herring,
Yeah, we talked a good bit about this one.
herring, herring,
Recognizes a microphone there, so the man's talking there. These
herring,
are hard to do because you've got a lot of light coming from that torch, and then his face is lit, and then the hand is lit. So trying to get the good, the proper tonal qualities in the face and the hand, and so on was pretty good. But it seemed to be a bit crowded, and probably the killer in it might be this piece of glass that's in the left-hand foreground that needed to be cloned out of there, or needed to not be in the picture. Once you get out of that, your eye relaxes and you can kind of take the picture in a little bit better.
herring, herring. Up is Cool Bird. The topic cold as ice. Herring, herring,
Yeah,
herring.
we debated long and hard about whether this was a starling or not. Doesn't matter, but we just we were trying to figure it out. I don't remember a starling with an orange beak, but it's an interesting bird. The light on the bird is very nice. I think I'm not sure what it's sitting on or standing on, but the problem for me was that the thing that the bird is sitting on is almost 50% of the image, and I think you could crop all of the dark area underneath there and still have the same effect. Um, I also would like to see, I don't know when the snow is coming down, but there's not a lot of flakes in there. And when there's not a lot of flakes, it looks like, if you remember the old black and white print days, um, when you didn't spot your image. So instead of being really cool snowflakes, it almost is a distraction, which you really didn't want it to be. I mean, I would either put many more in so that it really looks like it's snowing, um, but it just was not strong enough because of that.
Next up is Alone. Topic solitude. Kim Koza. Next up, next up, next up,
So
next up.
you got a great setting for this because the rocks and the water and this nice blue sky. So the puzzle here is trying to get a balance of all these objects so that you don't have so much negative space or dark area that
Next up,
doesn't add to the picture. You want to be able to focus in on showing the person in a wide open space. So you still want to have the sense it's a wide open space, but in this case, it's just this dark water down the front that doesn't contribute a whole lot to it. And I really don't like focal points in the very middle of the picture and that middle midline up through the middle. It would need to be on more to the left or more to the right. In this case, more to the right to kind of work with it and not have as much of this dark water down toward the front. The rock colors are good, water colors are good, but I think that I would fiddle around with a crop on this as a starter, unless you have some other angles that you've done that might really work with it.
You know, if I could just say one thing though, Ron, this is an interesting commercial shot. If you were going to have a brochure,
Yeah.
and you've got enough room at the top to put the, I don't know, something mountain, whatever, or, and then in the foreground you've got room to put, text as well. So it has potential, but it's not. It doesn't work as well for a competition image, but as a commercial shot, it's not bad.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's good.
next up is Separation from Topic Solitude. Neil Shapiro.
You know, oh Neil, you're killing us. We love this image.
Yeah.
This was really good. It really evokes the solitude that you're trying to get. You don't need to see what the gentleman is looking at. He looks like he's just wasting the day away, looking as people go by. The tonalities are pretty good on this. Maybe it could be a little bit more contrast, but for the most part, I think that's pretty good. Ron and I had sort of a difference of opinion. I think if you're going to have graffiti, you can't cut some of it off. And on the right hand side, you've cut off it. Well, I don't know if it looks like AAR or something, and then that little piece coming there that doesn't work. And it looks like you cut off the signature of the graffiti artist. That's really a no. If you're going to show his art, you might as well at least give him credit for it. But the image itself is nicely done. I actually toyed with the idea of taking all the graffiti off and just making this a vertical with the man looking out the window. And just a thought, but I just, if you have room, if you go back, if you can keep the artist's name in, I think that would be a big plus.
Next up is Icicle Hands. Topic Cold as Ice. Sally Wilsey.
This is one I wanted to like, and I kept trying to puzzle out what I was looking at. And finally, on a third attempt, third sweep through, if you will, I finally realized what it was. I don't know how this would work. I mean, it's a unique feature, so it's nice to do something that you don't see every day. and it may be that a lower angle at this or something would work, but there's a lot of competition in this competition this evening. A lot of really good images that we just couldn't settle on this one, and because of its confusion, I guess, of content, and I'm getting less articulate as the evening goes on, so my apologies.
Next up is Closing Time from Solitude, Onia Jakubowski.
And it's another one we went back and forth on. I think Ron, you liked it more than I did, but I like the image. I think it's cool. The window light on the chairs that are, in the background and in the front, but it just didn't. It didn't move me. I didn't feel solitude. I felt like maybe the restaurant or the bar area was closed, but I didn't really get the feeling of solitude. It didn't. It so that was a problem. I think it's well done. It's maybe a little dark. It looks like you've lost a lot of detail in the foreground on the bottom left, but it's a nice image. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's well exposed and it's a good capture, but it just didn't have a strong enough subject matter for me.
It really connected with me a bit more than maybe it should have. And as I've looked at it longer, the fourth of the picture off to the right hand side probably doesn't contribute to it. I don't mind the feather and some of the other things on the wall there, but just these tables, kind of the geometry, the windows and the legs and so on, how that's kind of mirrored a little bit there. Kind of works for me. If you're going to go back and try to do something else with it, consider cropping it a bit and see what that does.
Next up is 14951, topic fences, Dow Smith.
Well, here's the thing: the 1451. I've got to work a little bit to see that. So for that to work, that's got to be a bit more in the face. And so that's the negative up front that probably is not real good. The positives, the texture and the fence, the paint peeling off of it and so on, really is very nice. And you got this nice golden grain coming up and grass coming up all around it. I think there's a picture there. I just think that somehow if there's a place my eye is supposed to go, kind of a focal point, it should be a little bit more in my face, if you will, than having to kind of pick my way through the weeds, if you can, to do that. And for that fact, this may be one that I didn't think about this before. It may different crop, black and white. There's some lots of possibilities. I would not throw this one away. I'd kind of noodle around with it and see where it goes.
Next up is Morning Gold, topic solitude, Janice Pritchett.
There's really nothing bad about this. You got a great image. I love the color. The time of day is perfect. The silhouette is great. You can even see I guess it's a strap or light on the back of the photographer. It's not a self-portrait, obviously. It's a really well done image, and the capture of the water, the soft lines and everything in the fog. It's a beautiful image. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just that we couldn't keep it in to the top 5. I have nothing really bad to say about this. I would keep this. I might move for a little bit to the right, if I was really picky, but not necessarily.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was kind of removing the a couple inches of the picture to the right-hand side, and all of a sudden it feels a lot more comfortable whenever he's closer to that side of it.
Yeah.
No. Next up is Corning Tower, and a topic long and tall, Linda Tomasino.
Well, technically, the picture was well executed. You've got all of the details, good black and white contrast all the way up. You got some of the windows up at the top are blown out because of there's more lighting up there, obviously, and the clouds around it. So there are a lot of good qualities of it. I think I understand why the artist decided to crop it as a very tall panorama almost. It's just in and of itself. There's not a point at which that's unique and interesting part of it. It stands just as a very tall building, and as such, it's not a there's no unique story to be had here. So we really couldn't leave it in.
Next up is Deus Ex Machina. Topic: the color purple. Phil Olivo.
Did we miss? I guess we haven't got there yet. We like this. We do again. It's definitely purple. It definitely fits the topic. It looks like it might be some part of a car or something, or maybe it could be a tractor that's been converted to this color. I'm guessing the photographer didn't find this, so I'm assuming the color was added either with a gel on a flash or in Photoshop or something. But it's nice. It's got some interest to it. I keep trying to look at the looks like a face at the top, but I can't quite make it out. But it just wasn't strong enough to hold up.
Good. Next up is Purple Didier Tulips. Topic: the color purple. Sean Sullivan.
Yeah, this is really well executed in the respect that look at the detail and the contours in each one of these tulips, and the position of them. It's unique. Usually, you see these tulips and such in a single cluster up to the front. So my eye walks across the image, and you can really enjoy seeing the foliage up there. And the background's pretty good in the respect that it's neutral enough, but just a little bit texture that kind of works there. I'm not really in love with the table down there. I think it's straight, but it's a little bit brighter. I'd almost like to see the wall color continue on up or something to the front, but it really kind of just gets in your way of enjoying the rest of the picture.
The one other thing I would suggest is maybe trying to blur the stems in the vase just a little bit so that they're not quite as prominent there. But I love the placement. This is a great still life.
You guys don't like my floors.
I didn't say that. The floor didn't bother me on this one, actually.
All right. Next up is Ice Abstract. Cold as ice. Claudia Jakubowski.
I looked at this one for a long, long time. This is really contrasty. I can't tell whether it's noise or not on my screen, but it's very, very contrasty. And I was trying to figure out, is this a river with ice, or is it a walkway with, a water and ice on top of it? And I think we agreed at the end, or we came to the conclusion we think it's a river. But so subject matter, it's interesting because we really couldn't figure it out, and yet it was not unpleasing. I think it's a little bit too contrasting, and there's not anywhere to really grab you to let your eye rest anywhere. So you keep going around it, you see little things. Right in the middle, looks like a stick. Then you go back to the upper left, and there's some layers of something there, but it's just not strong enough, and it's so contrasty that it was sort of disturbing a little bit.
Next up is Alone at Sunset from the topic Solitude. Connie Frisbee Wood.
Yeah, this one is really nice, and I can't remember why we didn't leave that in at the end, other than the fact that it's just some terrific competition.
I think that was number 6, actually.
I'm sorry.
I think that was number 6, actually.
Yeah, I
It
think.
was really close.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, you got the person, the outline of the person on the left hand side, these gorgeous sun rays coming down across the mountain off the to the left is these clouds that are just gorgeous, and layer after layer of mountain as you go back. I mean, there's just so much to like about that. It
Yeah.
was a really tough competition. I can't say anything about it that I don't like.
Next up is Pudding Creek Rail. Topic long and tall.
Yeah, we really like this. Again, this was a beautiful image with the great sky. I love the fact. I think people looks like you got bicyclists up there, and maybe some looks like one guy standing on something. He looks like he might even be a photographer. Um, it's really nice. It's got a great sunset or sunrise. I'm not sure, but it's well executed. It's a little bit heavy up top, but I understand why, because you've got that beautiful cloud in the upper right, so it's be tough to cut that off. Um, there's really nothing bad. This is like the image that you just showed. Um, it could easily have been one of the top 5. It just wasn't in last night. Tomorrow it could be. But last night when we toured them, or when we went through them, uh, the 5 that we found we thought were stronger than these.
Next up is In Sand and Time. Topic solitude. Lena Kesey.
There are an awful lot of sand dune pictures that I've seen over the years, and you can really get some really interesting classic shadows and contours and so on. And I think that was a tent down in the middle. I'd see the footprints across. Kind of remind me of the great sand dunes of Colorado when I visited that some years ago. But I realized when I was there that it was going to take a long time to be able to move around and walk around and get the angle and get the lighting to get the contour to really work and again provide a pathway for your eye as you move through the picture. So I think it was a great place to shoot. I think that I would have spent some time there trying to play with my viewpoint angle to try to get that to be where you need it to be. But the contours end up being, again, colors are fine. I think the sky's okay. The mountain in the background, but the contours are just not guiding my eye through the image, given everything else we're competing with here this evening.
Next up is Solitary Sky. Topic solitude. Janice Pritchett.
Yeah. Well, what can you say? I mean, it's hard not to like a heron that you've got a perfect reflection in the water, and the sky in the water is really nicely done. And the negative space on this one works well. The heron is looking in the right direction. There's not. It's a little static because the heron is not doing anything. But it's a great portrait, and I like the fact that it's small in the image and leaving the most of the cloudy, the water reflection that we think that looks. I thought it looked really neat. I'm not sure. Just above the heron at the top of the image, at first I thought, well, maybe those are birds flying, and Ron thought maybe it was some kind of debris in the water, but it doesn't help it because we can't figure out what it is. I would have cloned those out, I think, and just left the bird. And you could have, I mean, this is photographer's choice. Maybe you could have tightened the image up a little bit. You didn't need quite as much foreground, maybe, but it's hard to say. I mean, I'm not going to tell the photographer, you know, what he or her vision is. But it's a beautiful image, but I just don't think it's strong enough.
Unusual, crop in a bit and not be so with the subject not being quite as close to the center might make it stronger. And it looks like crud in the water up there, much the same. I have a similar heron I shot in Habit of Grace a few years ago, and the crud, I just didn't take time to clone it out in mine, and that might have made this a bit stronger. For that.
Next up is Alone. Topic Solitude. Jana Kaywood.
For that. Yeah, I really wanted to like this because a tree and fog, I mean, all the right elements there, and a road. And so I either want to see more of the road or none of the road. I'm not quite sure. And the tree, the shape is interesting. I've seen more interesting trees, but the light is fantastic coming through the fog behind it. And then you have this nice quality of the tree line coming along behind it. An awful lot to like about this. I just would think that would hope the photographer maybe have shot this from a couple different angles and fiddled with it a little bit more. But I think all the elements are right there waiting for that image to be perfect. For that.
Next up is New York City Backpacker. Topic People in a Street Scene. Linda Thomas-Sewell.
Well, this was almost in the top 5. It was one of, just like the other ones, this was one that we took a good hard look at. This is really, really nice. There's not a whole lot to say that's really bad. I think in the lower left-hand corner, it looks like there's a reflection of maybe a trash can or something, which is distracting. And then the people on the halfway up on the left, they're distracting. And then there's another guy on the right-hand side. I think if they were out of there and your eyes weren't bouncing back and forth, you were just focusing on the young lady with the backpack and the reflection, I think it would be stronger. But the trash can in the lower left is really distracting.
For that.
Next up is Cool as Ice is Cold as Ice. Topic Cold as Ice. Marguerite Hill.
For that. Yeah, you don't run across ice crystals and grass and so on like that. And I'm just wondering. We talked about the white white vignette. Maybe a darker vignette might have helped a little bit, but because you have the lines kind of moving from the top to the down across the middle, it's kind of a dome shaped feel here because of the vignette. It's hard to tell where to look in the picture. I think you captured the detail in those ice crystals and so on really, really well. But between the vignette and not having a pathway for your look at the picture kind of made it a little bit harder to compete with the other images here.
Yeah, I see a lot of macro shots that could be taken in there.
Yeah, great.
Next up is Reaching for the Sky. Topic Long and Tall. Phil Olivo.
Well, this is beautifully graphic. We looked at this long and hard because it sort of gave you an almost feel like The Broom, but this one didn't quite make it. First of all, it looks like it's not totally straight up and down, and maybe my eye is wrong, but it looks like it's a little wide, just a hair wider at the top than at the bottom on the left-hand side, which is a problem. And it's a really pretty graphic image, but I'm not quite sure that it's straight up and down, and it just wasn't strong enough.
Next up is All Aboard. Topic People in a Street Scene. Sharon Silversmith.
Yeah, quite cool. Nice expression on their face, and in pictures like this, it's really good that the subject's looking directly at you, the photographer. Face is pretty bright there. It was just a nice capture. It's just not as competitive with some of the other things as like we might have here. So
Next up is what could go wrong? Topic: people in the street scene. Rich Schreibstein.
Love this image. So how the photographer was in this position to see this guy coming across with the little guy and the two big dogs looking out the window at him. I don't know if that wasn't a setup. It's pretty cool. I think there's unfortunately too much car. This is one where I wish the car had moved further down and the dogs would have been, the big dogs would have been closer to the little dogs. And the fact that you used a fairly closed down aperture, well, that is not helping because the background gets distracting. But it's a great capture of a street scene. It just wasn't strong enough to stay in, but it it is funny.
it's fun.
Next up is walk in the woods. Topic: solitude. Sharon Silverstone.
Okay. Okay. This looks to be a photographer. You can see the evidence there in his right hand, his or her right hand. There's a bit of space up to the front here. Sometimes in the solitude, sense of solitude comes across better when you have a lot of negative space around them in order to get that across. And so that is the topic, but the foreground is not pleasing to look at, if you will. And it would be much better, it seems to me, if it would be cropped up much closer to the person, and maybe crop out some of that dried brush off to the right hand side. But the solitude was really portrayed in some really powerful ways that were much stronger than this in the competition.
The other thing, I think this would have been a good vertical. I would have cropped a lot off the left, and if you look all the way in the background where that white limb is, I don't know what kind of tree it is. Maybe it's a sycamore or something. I would have darkened that way down because that's distracting.
Yeah,
your eye just keeps going up there as opposed to staying on the photographer.
Yay. Honorable mentions. Finally. First one. Oil and water over amethyst. Topic: the color purple. Joe Cotronio.
Now I remember why I wasn't in there before.
yeah.
Go ahead, that's yours.
Why is it mine?
Yeah, I think so. Oh no, it's not. It's really not, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, go ahead. That's
All right.
fine.
Well, that's fine. Anyway, this is gorgeous, and don't know if all of those orbs were natural in there or whether they were cloned in and placed or whatever. But your eye works. I know I like to see some order when I look at an image, but this one, it's just really pleasant to look at it and to see all of these colors and shapes, and everything seems to be in not overexposed or underexposed, and in a good place. I think that you found one of these that you had a comment about when we originally looked at this. What am I missing?
Well, I don't know.
Was it the dark orb out front here?
I think it was back. I think it was. Wait, I don't know. There was one little orb but I don't see it now, so forget it. But it's backlit. I like the fact it looks like that it was backlit, and then I'm not quite sure how the purple was whether it's a gel or not or something, but it's really, really pretty. This really struck me the first time I saw it. I said, wow, that's cool.
Hey. Next honorable mention. Stem and leaf. Topic: cold as ice. Kim Koza. Hey.
So, Kim, this is a great image. I mean, I'm going to assume that you found this, that you didn't create it. So, but just the placement of the stem, that beautiful S curve coming up to the leaf itself, and then the little spikes of ice that are all around. It's well exposed. It's just a beautiful image. I have no negatives about this one.
I think that you commented about the fact this is unusual composition for this, and the stem and the ice is the vast majority of the picture when you move up to the top, and it just really works. It's not an image I'd expect to see.
Hey, Alex Tarver mentioned. Hey, what? Hey, come to Jesus moment. People in the street scene. Hey.
I don't know. Joel, you really like this one. Why don't you go ahead and talk about it? I know that really spoke to you.
It did. There's just so much to like about this. It looks like the dog is getting ready to buy something. Number one, he's starting to look over. The fact that the photographer either waited or was fortunate enough to get the image of the woman in the mirror is great. The tonality is good. The sharp all the way through. You know, the sign in the back where it says culture. You could read it. You could read what is it? It's like whatever it is. You could read it. You know, it's like TOPACIA, Topacia maybe. I mean, it just it works. I mean, I love the tonality. It's sharp when it needs to be sharp, and it's great. That's a good image.
Yep. Agree.
It's the name of the place.
Yeah.
Asian Tapa.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Okay, sure.
gotcha.
Okay, but you can see it. The good thing is you can see it. If you could read English, which I have trouble doing, it would be different. But
last honorable mention is Lonely Beach Walk. Sean Sullivan, topic solitude. Hey.
Yeah, this was cool. I forgot about this coming up. Then this was one of our favorites. Don't know how the heck you did this one, because these figures are sharp as a tack and just gorgeous motion blur in the water all the way around, and then even and across the sand, and that nice line that runs near that lower left-hand corner right up and on out through the picture, but just sharp as a tack. And that we both really like this one.
Thank you. Secret sauce.
Secret sauce. Okay.
And the winner. Hey, I expected actually. Hey, stepping up. Topic: people in the street scene. Alan Wiggins.
Okay, this is just an absolutely fantastic photograph. First of all, how the photographer even saw this is unbelievable. The fact that the photographer got down as low as he did and was able to get underneath this woman with her coat and catching the man or woman with the umbrella and not cut off at all. The people on the right underneath the legs are not cut off. I mean, there is one that's way back, but the hand is not cut off on the stop sign. This is just a fantastic street image. The reflections are great.
Hey,
it's the first time I saw this. I said, that's it.
Yep, same here. Absolutely. I agree with all your comments on that. Terrific.
Hey, Alan got down that low too. I think he tripped and his camera went off.
Yeah, maybe.
Congratulations, Alan. Yeah, and everybody. And thank you very much, Joel, and and all your comments, both of you. Hey, any questions for them before we sign out? Hey, I'm gonna stop sharing. Hey,
you had some comments about negative issues on a photo that I hadn't noticed, and then when you said them, I can't unnotice them.
Yeah.
By the way, the one thing I meant to say at the beginning is any of the images that you think we screwed up on, they were Ron's picks.
Exactly.
Any of the good ones, those are mine. And, that's the way we decided.
A number of them. The interesting thing was, it's an issue of processing. There are a few images that just needed a little bit of touch up and post processing to kind of get it to finish and come to home plate and be a winner. And but there are a few others where maybe a little too much time was spent and went just a bit overboard with the processing and took it a little bit further than it should have been. But it's always a balance, trying to get it, get it to look really good and not mess it up there. And I do it all the time. I go too far, and I should have stopped yesterday.
I agree.
For what it's, Sean, for what it's worth, I looked at these when you sent them to us on, I guess, Monday afternoon, and then we met Monday night. I would say that with rare exception, we rolled right through it because we really both felt pretty much the same way on almost all the images.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
And I learned a whole lot doing it too, by the way.
The secret to my beach one is actually really simple. You just duplicate the layer. You cut out the people.
There you go.
You use a blur filter to blur motion across, and then you just put the people back. Now, the issue you have to watch is the shadow. The shadow took me the longest. That took me more time to do.
The shadow is cool.
Because there was a shadow in the original picture, but it was a little bit longer. But trying to get a line up with the feet.
Well done. Well done.
Yep.
Well done.
I just want to say, I know judging assigned topics is challenging, and you guys did a really thorough job. And I wanted to let you know that Neil had to sign off early,
Yes.
but he did want to express his thanks to both of you for judging for us tonight.
Well,
Great job.
I've enjoyed that. This is the second time I've judged for you all, and I've enjoyed your images and the people I've spoken to and dealt with. So, well done.
I always enjoy judging with you folks, and it's all nice work. And I think our comments, mostly it's about trying to get the picture to the next level. It's not that people are doing bad work. It's just I have a hard time with pictures. I end up falling in love with a piece of the picture, and I'm totally blind to all of the flaws. And that's the part that you just have to get past and get somebody else to look at it and say, "What were you thinking?" And, that kind of thing to kind of get it there. So
I thought that after Monday night when Ron and I went through these, I'm actually judging their year-end competition next week. So I was pretty sure that after we went through Monday night that he was going to call me and tell me, "Yeah, we're going to look for somebody else." Well done.
All right, everybody. 9:30, and it's time to go.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Great judging.
Take care.
Great job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.